guys doing? Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
¿Cómo están?
Bien.
All right, all right. Is that me? Yeah, you. ¿Cómo empezamos? ¿Quién quiere preguntar? ¿O quién tiene alguna duda o pregunta? O... A ver, ¿dónde empezamos? Oh.
Is there anything from the old WCW days that you remember particularly, like your old matches with, like, let's say, Ultimo Dragon, King Malenko? Like, is there anything specific that comes to your mind that you always remember?
I tell you, the one thing that stands out, and I think will stand out forever, is my first match in WCW. I remember Conan was pretty much the person that introduced Lucha Libre into WCW. At the time, he was in conversations with Eric Bischoff. And I remember Conan telling me, hey, Ray, I got you a tryout match in WCW. So I'm thinking maybe a dark match, you know, non-televised. And I fly out to Baltimore, Washington, where they had the pay-per-view, the Great American Bash that night. And not only until I arrived, I knew that I was the opening match to the pay-per-view. And I thought I was going to wrestle, you know, just previous to the actual pay-per-view. So that really stands out. The moment my first match with WCW was a pay-per-view match against Dean Malenko, and we tore the house down that night, man. Yeah.
Great. Thanks again for coming. My question to you, sir, is as you just mentioned about your WCW moments. What would you say on the WWE side? What would you say would be your favorite moment for there?
With WCW?
With WWE.
Oh, my favorite moment?
Yes. Yes.
Wow, I would have to say my favorite moment is the moment that I actually signed the contract to be part of WWE. That was groundbreaking for me. It was an obstacle that was there, and probably even it was presented in my mind from so many other wrestlers that said that it was going to be hard for me to enter WWE because of my size, and Vince McMahon, you know, just like the bigger type wrestlers in size and weight. So right off the bat, I thought it was going to be a big obstacle for me to be part of the WWE. So when I signed that contract, I was like, yes, I'm in. Now all I got to do is perform and show them that I can go out there and kick ass. And man, that's what I did every night up until my last day with WWE. You know, every time I go up in the ring, I always go up there to perform at my best. And I think they meaning WWE, Vince McMahon, and all staff saw that there was Rey Mysterio. There was a Rey Mysterio that was marketable, and because of WWE, Rey Mysterio became worldwide known. So it was a blessing. Yes.
Hi, Rey Mysterio.
What's up?
My main question to you is what made you join the WWE universe, like the wrestling industry?
The WWE universe, or just the wrestling in general?
Yes, wrestling in general.
I think it was definitely in my blood from day one. My uncle, my mom's younger brother, is Rey Mysterio Sr. So I grew up around him at a very young age, and I've always looked up to him like a second father. You know, at the time he didn't have any kids, so I was pretty much his adopted son, and started training at the age of 7 years old, 8 years old. I was already taking this serious by the age of 14. You know, I wanted to go out there and perform in front of a live audience. So I had the opportunity to do that in front of, I don't know, maybe 120 people outside a parking lot in una iglesia in Tijuana. So that's where it all began for me. And I knew that this was a dream that was becoming reality. I just didn't know how big this dream was going to be up until now.
Hey, what's up, Rey?
¿Qué pasó?
I just want to know, like, who was the toughest opponent that you had to, because I was in all your matches, but the toughest one to do the 619 or the flying kick?
I don't,
Like, the toughest one, you know, that you're like, oh man, I can't take this guy down or something like that.
they were all tough, man. All my matches have been tough. I don't think there's been an easy match out there that I can say, oh, that was an easy night for me. But some of the biggest opponents that I've had, and actually trying to execute a 619, probably the Big Show. Yeah. Big Show was definitely one of the hardest. I remember one of the matches that I had against him, it took like 3 or 4 619s to eventually take him down. And I believe the first one came to the stomach out of nowhere. I think he took 2 to the stomach, which made him go down, and then 2 to the face, and I was able to get the win. But yeah, Big Show, the bigger guys, Great Khali, Undertaker, Kane, and believe it or not, JBL. JBL was one tough SOB, man. Yeah. So I think those were like the top 4 or 5 opponents that were really hard to take down.
Where's your favorite place to wrestle?
Favorite place to wrestle? First favorite place to wrestle, Mexico City, Mexico. That's my roots. That's where the fans got to see Rey Mysterio. Even way before Rey Mysterio, Colibri. They got to see Colibri there for the first time. And how Colibri turned into Rey Mysterio. So Mexico City, and then I think the second place that I love to wrestle most is Japan. I love wrestling in Japan. The fans are very knowledgeable with the sport of wrestling, and they appreciate lucha libre over there. So yeah.
If you weren't a wrestler, what would you be doing right now?
Making pizzas. I used to work, man. I used to go to school. I was going to high school, and I would get out of school at 3 p.m. and then go work part-time job. My brother was a manager at a pizza parlor in San Diego, Godfather's Pizza. So I would work from 4 to 7. Sometimes I'd get off a little bit early, 6:30. But I started folding boxes for pizzas. Then I started bussing tables, washing dishes, until I eventually knew how to make pizzas. I was making pizzas at the age of 15, 16 years old. I worked there for about 2.5 years. And I would try to do homework, squeeze homework in between. But I would clock in at 4 o'clock, clock out at 6:30 or 7, and then take the trolley all the way down to the border, cross the border, and then have my mom pick me up, or sometimes take a cab or a bus to get to my house, because I was living in Tijuana at the time. And then wrestling school was from 8 to 10. So I had an hour from 7 to 8 to make it home. If I didn't do homework, I had to squeeze my homework in there and get ready for wrestling school, which was at 8 o'clock. And sometimes I wouldn't leave wrestling school till like 11, 11:30. I'd come back home. It was only a couple blocks away from my house. So I'd come back home, shower up, go to bed, and then next morning, 5 a.m., up again, because I had to cross the border to go to school again in the morning. So I say if I wasn't wrestling, I'd probably be working at a restaurant somewhere. Yeah.
A few weeks ago, you had you had the World Cup match with Will Ospreay,
Yeah.
and I love that speech that you said afterwards. Have there been any other opponents over the years that have given you their story of how much you inspired them and it inspired you and humbled you?
Man, I've actually ran into a lot of them now that I'm wrestling independent and that I'm not part of WWE. I've had a chance to meet opponents like Will, like Ricochet, like Phoenix, Clay Phoenix, Pentagon's brother, who, believe it or not, man, humbles me to the fullest to hear them say that they grew up watching me and that they never imagined that they would share the ring with me, much less wrestle against me. So I think they're coming as I keep moving forward with my independent career, but it's really cool to hear it coming directly from them, especially after a moment when you go out there, you put a great match on for the fans, and they pour their heart out right in front of you and in front of the fans in that arena and express how much, of an inspiration I was in their career. So I'm truly blessed to be where I'm at right now and to keep influencing the youth, the new generation, and to actually be able to keep going, because the evolution of wrestling right now is incredible, man. It's hard for me to keep up. The moves that they're doing now is just phenomenal. So I'm having a hard time at 42 years old to keep catching up with these guys. Thank you.
Hopefully one day I'll face you as well.
Hopefully. I'll keep your word on that, man.
Hi.
Rey Mysterio.
What is your favorite match, wrestling match in your whole career?
My favorite match was a match that I had with Eddie Guerrero, Halloween Havoc, in WCW, 1997. It was a title versus mask match. That's one of my all-time favorites. Have you seen it?
No, thank you.
Okay. Promise me something. Promise me you're going to watch it.
I'll try.
Go to YouTube. Put in Halloween Havoc, Rey Mysterio versus Eddie. All right? También.
Hello. Who is the wrestler, any dead or alive, that you have never faced but would love to get in the ring with?
I've always said this. I've always been a big fan of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage. And if there was a match that I would have loved to have had in my career, it would be two. I would have loved to have had a match against Randy Savage. Oh yeah. And against Bret Hart. I think those are two matches that I wish I would have loved to have had throughout my career. I had a chance to wrestle Shawn Michaels. That was one of my dream matches, and it happened. But I missed two, so it's going to be hard for that to happen now. Dream match.
Buenas tardes, Ray.
Buenas tardes.
My question to you is, if you were to have to, well, for starters, you have an excellent career, you're still able to compete at this age, but eventually you're going to have your last match. Who would you want your last match to be with? Anybody from the wrestling?
Wow, you hit me with a good question there. I've never really thought about that. I've never really thought about who I would love to have my last match with. I have thought about having a match with my son in the ring, since he's already in training session. So I would love to share the ring before I retire. That's one thing I want to put on my list. Be able to share the ring, whether it's as partners or against each other, but with my son. Yeah.
Rey Mysterio, personally, you made me want to get into wrestling, and I would like you to decide what would you like my name to be?
Ooh, you want to become a wrestler? Yes. Hidalgo. What's your name?
Pablo?
Pablo. Pablo. Vaquero. Valle. El vaquero del valle. El vaquero del valle. El vaquero del valle. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome.
What was your favorite Undertaker match?
My favorite Undertaker match. I don't remember which one it was exactly. I remember I was wearing a white outfit, and it was my favorite Taker match because accidentally I springboarded off to the top rope, and you know that flying senton that I do? I landed right on his face, and I saw blood coming out from his nose, and I got really scared. So for some reason that match really stands out to me. And I remember I hit him like twice with the 619, and even that couldn't take him down. So I think any match I would have with Undertaker would have been great. He's just such an awesome opponent to be in the ring with, and I have the utmost respect for him.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.